The Zephyrian hunting party had stalked the primitive bipeds for 3 rotations, their bioluminescent tracking nodes pulsing with anticipation. The creatures called themselves humans, and according to the Galactic Council's preliminary reports, they were nothing more than another backwater species ripe for harvesting. The Zephyrians had done this countless times before capture a few specimens, study their weaknesses, then return with their battle fleets to claim another world for their ever-expanding empire. Captain Vexver adjusted his neural implants as he watched the lone human through his scope. The creature was young, barely past adolescence by their species standards, with dark hair and olive skin. It moved through the forest with surprising grace, but still displayed the clumsy gait typical of non-evolved species. Perfect for their purposes. Deploy the neural nets, Vexver commanded through his biocommunicator. This one will do nicely. The capture was swift and efficient. The human later identified as Marcus Chun, age 19, from the settlement, called New Vancouver, didn't even have time to cry out before the paralysis field took hold. Within moments, he was secured in a bio-containment pod aboard their scout vessel. As the ship broke atmosphere, Vexver felt the familiar satisfaction of another successful hunt. The Zephyrians were masters of psychological warfare and studying a species' fear responses was crucial to their conquest strategy. This human would provide all the data they needed. But Marcus Chun was not like the other species they had captured. When he awakened in the sterile white chamber, his dark eyes didn't dart around in panic as expected. Instead, he calmly assessed his surroundings, noting the force field barriers, the observation windows, and the alien technology humming around him. His heart rate, monitored by their biosensors, remained remarkably steady. Fascinating, murmured Dr. Velther. The expeditions? Xenobiologists. No immediate stress response. Perhaps their neural pathways are more primitive than we assumed. They were wrong. Marcus had been raised on stories of his grandmother's escape from occupied territory during Earth's third global conflict. She had taught him that fear was a choice, that the mind could be humanity's greatest weapon even when the body was powerless. He had listened to those stories with the rapt attention that only a child could possess, never knowing how valuable those lessons would become. For 3 days, the Zephyrians ran their tests. They subjected Marcus to sensory deprivation, phantom pain inducers, and psychological torture techniques that had broken the will of dozens of alien species. Each time, they expected to see the telltale signs of mental collapse, the trembling, the begging, the catatonic withdrawal that marked a successful conditioning. Instead, Marcus did something unprecedented. He began to study them back. While they probed his mind, he memorized their routines. While they tested his pain tolerance, he cataloged their equipment. While they tried to break his spirit, he quietly dismantled their assumptions about human limitations. Marcus had grown up in the wilderness of a frontier colony where survival meant understanding your environment completely. The Zephyrians had simply provided him with a new environment to master. On the 4th day, during what was supposed to be a routine neural mapping procedure, Marcus made his move. The Zephyrians had underestimated 2 crucial aspects of human physiology, their capacity for adrenaline-fueled performance, and their ability to function through severe pain. When Marcus deliberately triggered a feedback loop in their neural scanner, the resulting energy surge should have rendered him unconscious. Instead, he used the momentary confusion to break free from his restraints, designed for species that didn't possess humanity's unique combination of dense bone structure and explosive muscle fiber activation. What happened next became legend among the few surviving crew members who managed to escape in the emergency pods. Marcus Chin, a 19-year-old human armed with nothing but improvised weapons and an intimate knowledge of the ship's layout, systematically dismantled an entire Zephyrian crew. He moved through the corridors like a force of nature, using their own technology against them, turning their advanced weapons into tools of their destruction. The Zephyrians, for all their technological superiority, had never encountered a species that could adapt so quickly, that could turn desperation into strategy and fear into fury. But it wasn't just his physical capabilities that terrified them. As Marcus fought his way through the ship, he displayed something that would haunt Zephyrian nightmares for generations. He was learning. With each encounter, he became more efficient, more deadly, more absolutely relentless. He didn't just want to escape. He wanted to ensure that no other human would ever suffer what he had endured. When the emergency beacons finally reached the Zephyrian fleet, they found the scout ship drifting in space, its hull scarred and venting atmosphere. Of the 23 crew members, only Marcus remained alive, calmly piloting the vessel back toward Earth. He had spent the final hours learning to operate their quantum communicator, sending a detailed report of Zephyrian capabilities and weaknesses directly to Earth's defense networks. The surviving Zephyrians, who had escaped, told a simple story to their high command. Humans were not a species to be trifled with. They were a species to be avoided at all costs. The Galactic Council's files were quietly updated. The sector containing the Sol system was marked with a designation that roughly translated to Evolutionary Hazard Zone, Do Not Engage. The Zephyrians, once among the most feared predators in their arm of the galaxy, retreated to the far reaches of space, carrying with them the knowledge that somewhere in the universe existed a species that could turn captivity into conquest with nothing more than determination and the indomitable human spirit. Marcus Ching returned to New Vancouver as a hero, but he preferred to think of himself simply as his grandmother's grandson, someone who had learned that freedom was worth any price, and that sometimes the greatest weapon a human possessed was the refusal to surrender. The Zephyrians never captured another human. They never forgot why.